Today, I'm joined by a special guest. I'm very excited because it is his actual birthday today. That's the first time in the Mike Squires and Friends podcast history. The owner and operator of Madabolic, Seth.
Thanks, dude.
Yeah, welcome, dude.
Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Super pumped.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you here. You know, fitness has actually been a very important part of my life, but I don't think I've had that many, outside of like Cordell, like I haven't had like that many people that are in the fitness world on the podcast.
Yep.
So, I mean, I'm excited to like have you here, get into your story. And so I say we just hop in. So, you know, you're from Charlotte originally?
No, I'm actually from New York originally.
Okay, take me through this journey.
Yeah. All right. From New York, grew up there my whole life, went to college in New York as well. And then I was just so tired of the cold. Like winters were just not my thing. So I looked at my girlfriend at the time and I said like, hey, let's go down south. Brother lived in Charlotte for like, I think maybe like 8 years at that point. And I was like, let's just go down there. Like, just get out of this cold. She was like, let's do it. So we went down there and we spent about like 4.5 years there. She became my fiance. Obviously now we're married for about a year, a little over a year now, but we're down in Charlotte for about almost 5 years and then took the move here about 1.5 years ago, December 2023. Just loving every moment. Love living here actually now. Don't mind the winters as much anymore.
Thank you for tuning in to the Mike Squires and Friends podcast. You can support by subscribing on YouTube or downloading on your preferred podcast platform. And definitely go do that because it helps us grow and I can have more incredible guests on the podcast. The Mike Squires and Friends podcast is proudly sponsored by Distrokid. Looking to broaden your musical horizons as an artist? Discover Distrokid. With its smooth and rewarding music distribution platform, Distrokid offers unlimited uploads while ensuring artists retain 100% of their royalties and earnings. Join the community of over 1 million artists who trust Distrokid to distribute their music across major platforms like Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, TikTok, Tidal, and so many others. Having personally used Distrokid since 2018, I can attest to their superiority amongst distribution services. Collaborating with fellow artists has become effortless, especially with the ability to easily send splits of songs, streamlining the creative process. With the Distrokid app, accessing these benefits is now more convenient than ever. Safely sign up or log in with 2-factor authentication, upload releases on the fly, monitor earnings, and withdraw funds from your Distrokid bank. Stay updated on royalties through push notifications, effortlessly share hyperfollow links, manage account details seamlessly, and track streaming stats from Spotify and Apple. Additionally, explore Mixia for professional-grade mastering, DistroVid for music video distribution, and Instant Share for secure file sharing with collaborators, producers, and more. The DistroKid app is available on both iOS and Android. Download it today from the App Store or Google Play Store to revolutionize your music career. Visit distrokid.com/VIP/Mike Squires to get 30% off your first year membership. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode of Mike Squires and Friends. Yeah, I want to talk to you about everything that you said. So what did you have going on in Charlotte before Madabolic?
Yeah. So my whole starting journey for like fitness, all that, it actually started with like youth, like kids. I got into like baseball, like training one-on-one kids. And I like loved every moment of that. Like I loved just like getting to know the kids I was working with, kind of figuring out like what their issues were, what they needed. Always like making sure the parents were just like taking a step back and like leaving it to me, and like trusting me like with their children's just progress and education of baseball and how to get better at it. And I was just doing that for about 3 years. And I loved it. And then I kind of transitioned into a managerial position in that facility, just kind of working on the marketing, working on like new clients coming in and just kind of like getting my wings under me a little bit, like on just running a business. It wasn't my business, but like I was definitely kind of like taking charge with it, but I had a good owner just to kind of like guide me through some stuff. And then, just got into Madabolic actually through my wife she worked for Lululemon. The Lululemon down there had a great connection with Madabolic in Charlotte. And she had gone for a couple weeks, I think a couple months at the time. And she was like, hey, I want you to come like try this group fitness class out with me. And I was like, hell no. Like I ain't going. Group fitness is my thing. Like I'm going to go into the gym, put my headphones on and be under a bar for 1.5 hours. And she was like, just come with me. So I went first class, didn't go back for probably like 2 months. And then she tried me, said, come again. And I said, all right, let's go. And I haven't left since. So that's kind of like been that was my introduction to Madabolic. And I just loved it. Like, you know, for so long I was stuck in just like this cycle of like being so static in the gym, like just getting under a bar, getting onto a machine, like didn't have any endurance training, didn't do any speed training, no like stability work, like just all like meathead workouts. And I wanted to find a way to kind of like bring those things in, but I didn't want to give up the like strength aspect. And I tried like the cycle of classes. I tried the treadmill classes. I tried the HIIT classes, and those were all fine, but they weren't like they weren't going to change me over to just being that. Like I needed to incorporate it, but I didn't want to like full switch into that. So I had to find a place that like could, you know, give me the strength I wanted, but like also give me those pieces that I needed and was missing. And like Madabolic gave me that to like the perfection, like exactly what I was looking for. So it grabbed me and I've just been stuck with it, and I love it. Like,
for the people that are listening too that might not be familiar with Madabolic, how would you best describe it so that they could get like an understanding?
Yeah, I mean, simplest form, it's strength and conditioning. Like it's strength and conditioning, one-on-one training within a group setting. So like I feel like when I was a client there, I felt like I was getting like one-on-one attention in a group setting and focusing on my strength, but being able to also like build athleticism, build endurance, build that stability, like pieces of my strength, like my training program that like weren't good. Like I struggled with stability. Like I've got bad shoulders. Like I needed to work on those things, but like the things that you're bad at, sometimes you don't do them on your own. So I needed that. So yeah, I mean, you know, for anybody who doesn't know what Madabolic is or, you know, has ever seen us on Instagram, like strength and conditioning in its truest form, simple, effective, progress is the main goal. Strength is the main goal of anybody who walks in.
Yeah. I want to talk to you a little bit about the leap that you took coming from Charlotte to Stamford. You know, what made you guys decide on Stamford? Like, what does that whole part of the journey look like? Because to me, that's like
it was crazy.
That's a big life choice.
Yeah, it was a big move. Going back to like the year before, I proposed to my my girlfriend at the time, and we decided like we just kind of wanted to do something more. Like I wanted to stay in fitness. I knew that like as much as I loved training kids baseball, coaching baseball, like it wasn't going to be a long-term like thing. Like I had to kind of solidify like a career for myself. And she just kind of like mentioned the idea of like, hey, let's like look into owning a mat. And I was like, don't tempt me with a good time. Like that sounds awesome. Let's do it. And like 2 weeks later, I was like, hey, we got a meeting scheduled for it. And she was like, oh shit, you're serious? I was like, yeah, like I think it's a great idea. A little emotional at the time just because like I loved it so much, but like once I took a step back and I was like kind of seeing everything
from like a business perspective,
I was like, this is actually a really solid idea. And so, you know, we were in Charlotte. We wanted to open one in like the Charlotte suburbs, about 30 minutes north. That was like the territory that we like gave ourselves. And real estate's just hard. It's just a hard part of the process. It's always like the longest part of the process. And I don't want to say we got impatient, but I think like we got to the point where I don't know if this will work in this area that we were going to look. And I just got a call one day from, you know, like Matt HQ, president, and he just said, hey, you know, I know you've been looking for real estate for so long. I've got an interesting opportunity for you. Tell me what you think, sleep on it, whatever it is. And it was to take over the Madabolic Stamford location from, you know, the previous owners. And we got that call, I think like October 20 something of 2023. We moved here December 1st of 2023. So a little over a month's time, picked up all of our stuff, said goodbye to everybody in Charlotte.
What was your decision-making process? So you get the call, you know, you're looking at Kayla, you're like, what, you know what I mean? What's the conversation? What's that look like? You know?
I tried to make like a professional decision before I made like an emotional decision, because like, even though I wanted to like own a Madabolic so badly, the other emotions that were going to play into it was like, we have a life in Charlotte. Like we've got family. I got my brother there. I've got, you know, 100 kids that rely on me to help them. Like I thought of everybody else first, but before I thought of myself, and my wife included, thought about her, like just but I needed to make sure that like the emotional decision came secondary to the professional decision. And like the professional decision was, you know, without going too much into it, it made more sense on a, you know, financial standpoint for us to kind of jump into one that was already built out and open versus kind of build
Starting
up from the ground and start from the scratch. So like that was a big part of it too. And then just kind of like knowing like the confidence that we had in each other, Kayla and I, to take something that wasn't hitting its true potential, like had good potential, but just like wasn't there yet, and to be able to kind of bring it to where it needed to be. And, you know, once we figured that out, we said, okay, like emotionally, let's talk about this. And like in all transparency, like after a lot of like tears and like hard decisions of like, all right, this is what we're leaving behind here now, we decided that it was the best thing for us. And it turned out to be a really, really, really good idea and a really good decision. And it was really hard, but like, I'm just confident in both of our abilities to make decisions that are going to be best for us and our future and other people too.
Had you been to Stamford prior to this?
So we visited it one time after the call. It was really coincidental. We were driving up to northern New York for a wedding. And that was when we got the call. So on our way back to Charlotte, we stopped in Connecticut. We took a class there. We didn't tell anybody who we were except for the owners who knew. We stopped, we took a class, and we saw the gym, kind of drove around the area real fast, and then we drove back to Charlotte, and that's when we made our decisions like within that month. So.
When you drove around Stamford, were you like, city's great, but that Macy's is gross?
Unfortunately, it was dark out, so like I didn't see the shitty Macy's, but no, it looks fantastic now.
Yeah, I'm just kidding, dude.
No, that's funny. You gotta plug it. You gotta
it's
plug
been taken over by entire life.
You have to plug that. I know.
But going back, dude, so, you know, that one visit basically like gave you the confidence where like, I could live there, you know what I mean? Or you just like, it was an opportunity that you just felt like you had to at least try.
Yeah, I think that I had to like, I think that where I was going to live was almost an emotional decision that I had to put again, like to the side, like secondary. Like my whole thing was, I think that Madabolic is a good brand, structured, supportive. Like, do I want to own a Madabolic or do I want to own a Madabolic in North Carolina? And that came down to, I want to be a part of this franchise. Like I've seen everything from, you know, the way it runs, being a trainer there back in Charlotte, where I forgot to mention, like I trained there for a couple months, and seeing like just those owners' commitment to like excellence and like productivity and process, and just like the culture of like, it meshed so well with everything that I believed in on a physical, like on a gym standpoint, let's call it. Like I knew that like it just resonated with me well enough to like where like I could believe in what I was about to go sell to other people and like help other people with. So that was a big piece of it. But once it was like we were here, it was like, hell yeah, we own a gym. Like now let's freaking run this place. Like, let's do it.
What was one of the hurdles you had early on? Because I'm sure there was one.
Like when I got here?
Yeah.
That's a really good question. I think about this all the time. You know, there's like this sense of like, in my mind, there was probably like a sense of like, all right, this new guy's coming in. He's from like where Madabolic was like started. Like I was in like the OG, right? Like I was in like the flagship location, the first ever one. So like everything is done there, like by the book, right? And like you've got like the co-founder sitting in the back room, like looking through the window when you're doing workouts and when you're coaching. So like everything there is like very like by the book, completely
tight ship.
Yeah, like real tight ship. And like how it should be everywhere, right? But like you got that extra pressure of like them just like knowing that they can just like peek their head through the window, and like you need to be on your point. So coming in, I think that like I thought that people were gonna be like, oh, like this guy's coming from Charlotte where like they do everything that way and they're just gonna like ruin this place. And maybe not ruin, but like it's just gonna be different. And the truth is like that was true. Like it was going to be different. Like I wasn't aware completely of like the culture aspect of Stamford and its clients with Madabolic like before I got there, until we had conversations with people here. But like the truth is like I knew that Madabolic was a good structured program, a good everything I just said before. And I was like, we're gonna get into that. Like that's what we're going to stick with. We're not going to shy away from anything. And that goes for everything. It goes into the music we play. It goes into the type of person that our trainers are, the type of people that our clients are, like who we bring in, the type of person, and just getting back to like that culture. So that was a big hurdle. Like I was scared of like, are people gonna hate me? And I think a couple people did, like, and that's okay. I think
when you say a couple of people hate you, like you're talking about like people like in just that you were working with, or are you saying like clients or like?
Yeah, like clients that were there before me.
Oh,
and,
I
like,
see what you're saying.
on.
And then like, yeah.
Like I was the new guy. Like I was the new guy in charge. And like, I was worried that they were just gonna like clash with me because I was just new. Like I could have been the nicest human being in the world. And I think
some people just don't like change, dude.
Right, they don't like change. And that was like it was just a hurdle. I wasn't like scared of it because I knew it was gonna happen. But it was definitely like a hurdle. And then the staff too, right? Like I wanted to make decisions that were going to be best for the long-term success of our business. And that was going to come with some changes. And I was, as much as I knew it was going to affect some people's opinions of me, like we needed to do some stuff.
Would you be willing to talk about one of those things, dude? You don't have to, no pressure.
No, I mean, it's just not particularly, but like, I don't think that there's one singular thing, but like, we want to market the way we want to market to people.
Okay, and I want to talk to you about the marketing aspect.
So that's a good aspect, right? Yeah. A lot of places, right, market to everyone, right? Trainings for everybody, like their gym is for everybody. We can, fitness for everybody, all of this. And that's true. Madabolic is for everybody. Like it is for anybody, but it might not be for everybody. Like the way we work might not work with other people. And that kind of goes into just like the type of honest and transparent and let's say constructive criticism like road that we use. So, for a good example is like if someone walks in with someone says, hey, like I have chronic knee pain. This is my first class. I have chronic knee pain. I'm really worried about it. I'm not going to tell them like, okay, we're going to like, don't worry. We're going to modify everything. It's like, I don't know what they have struggled with yet. And they usually don't know. So like I had a woman come in, she said, I have chronic knee pain. And I said, all right, here's what we're gonna do. Today we're gonna go through movements. We might lower down the weight, but like I'm gonna watch you and I'm gonna see if there's anything that is off. Maybe there's some imbalances in the hip, ankle, whatever it is, right? And at the end of the class, I walked up to her, I was like, how are we feeling? She was like, great, didn't feel anything. And I'm like, that's awesome. So we're just gonna keep going on this road where like you try things and then when something's bothers you, you need a modification, you need us to pull back a little bit, we'll do that. I think we're like a month and a half in with this woman, maybe 2 months in, and like no complaints.
That's
it's
amazing,
just because
dude,
like we know what to look for and like we're also like asking for them to be as transparent to us as we're gonna be to them. And like the truth is like the transparent thing in this situation is like she might have had chronic knee pain, but like she didn't know why she had it, right? So like, or there was just things that she was doing that just weren't good for her. And maybe she just needed to simplify and bring things kind of like reel it back in. And, now because she's not doing all these extra crazy like movements, we're just kind of focusing on the basics and like making sure those are efficient. She's good, right? So, but it just speaks to the type of person that like we work with, right? Like we want to be for anybody, but we might not be for everybody. So.
When you got to Stamford, like how long did it take for you to get into a flow where you felt like, okay, we're doing this now. We got it.
Yeah, that's a good question. I want to say like it probably took like 8 months, but like I wanted it to be like 4 months. But like it just wasn't that. Like I really was hoping, like I was like 4 months, like we can get everything kind of where we need to be. Probably took more towards 8 months. And like when I say everything we need to be, like we just like I need to get like the trainers like dialed in on like the same page as me and the clients dialed in on the same page as me and like kind of focus on building a culture versus a community. Like I want these people to understand that like this is, 50 minutes of their day, 4 times a week. They can come in, they can get their shit done and they can go home. And that's the type of person that we bring in. It's like the person who sits at their desk until 2 a.m. doing work like you do and like tell them you're about to pull an all-nighter. But like during the week, when you do those things, you still can dedicate 50 minutes of your time to better yourself.
Yeah, we were talking a little bit beforehand, but the scheduling is probably the most important thing for me personally because I'm just the type of person where it's like, working out is very important to me. Like, you know what I mean? It's like fitness has become an important part of my life. But if it comes down to it and it's like, oh, I need to go work on this music because of this deadline or fitness, if I'm not on a schedule, I'm always picking my work personally. You know what I mean? And it's just who I am. But knowing that it's like, okay, I'm there at 6:15, we're out at 7:05. I know I'm going to get the workout. Just show up.
Yeah.
Just like, and that's like a lot of like some days, I mean, you see me out there, squinty eyes, dude, barely can like keep my eyes open.
Yeah. You got some good faces.
Yeah,
for sure.
dude.
Luckily, there's no mirrors or anything to look at. So like, you don't know unless you take some video of yourself or I
feel it though. I feel it, dude. Personally, I also like some of those last rounds, I just let Jesus take the wheel and I'm just, you know, don't even remember what those last workouts look like because my eyes were closed. But the point I was trying to make is that like for somebody like me who's like on like a very like work schedule, like it's so good because it also, another thing is it like takes the thought out of it, which like for me, I like obviously not completely out of it, but like, you know, I got you guys looking over me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's the biggest thing. Like we want to, like when we go into a class, right? Like I always tell my trainers this, like you have to take like ownership of the floor when you are coaching. Like, I don't care if I'm there. I don't care if Kayla's there. Like, if you're coaching the class, you take ownership of the room. It's your space for 50 minutes that day. So like, do what you need to do in that 50 minutes. Make sure that that room is looking to the best of its ability. Like I always say that like, in a lot of group fitness, and I try to get people who come in to like, I always ask this question, like, I want you to, you know, you've been at other gyms before, you've seen a different workouts, like put on a different lens real fast. And I always ask them a question towards the end, and I'm like, how did you feel? Like, did you feel supported? Did you feel like you learned something new? And they're, you know, 95% of the time, right, they're gonna say yes. The 5%ers are the ones who do have like a good handle on things, or maybe they're just like, yeah, great, like I got it. Yeah. But like, if a camera was set up in the back right corner of the room, right, and you looked and you watched 50 minutes back of film on the class, would you be happy with the way your trainer coached the class? Did they find everything they needed to find in that class to fix, to modify, to get in line, whatever it is, help with form, technique? And did you feel like it moved efficiently, right? And like, if someone can do that well, like if someone can manage that room well and like focus on those things, then the way to look back on that 50 minutes, they feel really good about it. And I trust my trainers like blindly. Like my trainers they're so tied up on everything that they need to do, that they know they need to do, from the minute people walk in the door to demoing the movements correctly and having that communication and being clear, to making sure when during the class that everyone is moving to the best of their ability. And if they're not, helping them not only fix it, but helping them understand why. It's more than just being like, hey, your shoulders are rounding on your deadlift. It's like, here's why your shoulders are rounding. Here's why your lower back is bothering you a little bit. Does that feel better? Okay, here's what was happening. And it's that constructive criticism. It's going up to somebody like, hey, that doesn't look good, but like, let's fix it, versus like, keep going. You got it. Oh, yeah. You know, it's like...
Well, they do it in a way like, and I'll talk just from my experience, like, it's like a nice course correcting without like being overbearing. You know what I mean? Where it's like, it's still like positive. You don't make, like, at no point have I ever been like, oh man, like I'm doing this wrong. They're making me feel terrible. I'm doing it wrong. It's more like, nah, like you're almost like, just scoot your butt back. You know what I mean? Or like around the shoulder, and like, you know, I think I've come a long way.
Maybe. Oh, 100%, dude. Like, and we can get transparent about it. Like when you came in, and it's not that you didn't know how to move. It's just like, I always like think that like the biggest challenge for people is like, they don't know like exactly what their body does wrong. Like they just kind of feel these pain, like maybe they feel the lower back pain, maybe they feel knee pain, but like they don't know the root cause. And like, I feel like you came in, you were like so confident in it, which is good. Like I want people to be confident. Like I want people to come in the room and be like, all right, I'm ready for it.
I feel like just full disclaimer, I come into every situation confident.
Yeah,
even if,
that's good though. That's how it should be. Like you should not be scared to like do those things. Yeah. Like it's not intimidating. It's only intimidating if you set that, right? Like you feel supported. But you know, you walked in right and it was like, all right, like we're going to have to slow this down, dude. Like this dude down. Like we're going to have to pull him back a little bit, reel him in a little bit, and like just get him to like I don't know. I think that's the best way. Just like reel it in a little bit.
Yeah, because I mean, and a lot of the motions and things we were doing were super, especially like I remember the slide board. First day, I couldn't even make it across.
It's a tough one to start
You know
on.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I felt crazy, but now I just like, I feel like a figure skater on that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's like a lot of things. The infamous barbell swings, or the kettlebell swings. Yeah, those. I'm not saying they're great now, but we came a long way.
Dude, I mean, well, for one, it's a tough, like not to get into it too much, but like it's a tough movement. Like and the reason why I think like kettlebell swings are like the toughest movement is because like not only does it take a lot to get them done correctly, but like done incorrectly, like the risk.
Oh, the lower back. Yeah.
It's like the risk is so high for like injury that like done incorrectly, like we're looking at not only like pain, but like we're looking at like injury. So like we really gotta like dial that in. But you learn how to do that not just from doing kettlebell swings. Like I remember we hung out after class one day and like we were working on kettlebell swings and I don't even think we touched the kettlebell. We were working like banded good mornings, like with tension behind you, I think it was.
Just trying to get some of the form
right,
better,
just like the
in
feel.
general.
Yeah. And like that's just kind of like the care that we do. It's like, sure, the class is over and like, all right, like it's not just like we forget about it. Like I'm going to always remember that like Mike struggles with this part of his kettlebell swing. And like, I'm always going to, when you come on the floor and there's a kettlebell swing on the floor, I'm always going to be going up to you and like looking for those fixes to make if you have them. Right. And that's kind of how we coach. Like it's always remembering each individual so important and like every little detail that they struggle with so that like we don't run into those injuries on the floor. Right. So, but look at you now.
Yeah, I'm feeling
Sliding
great.
across that board, like the bag's good.
Everything's feeling great. You know what I mean? I think, and the thing is, I still have like my own progress that I want to make, but I feel very great from where we started. You know what I mean? Like I feel better. I think like me personally, I'll speak for myself. I think I look better a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, but also it's just like, and I also, not for nothing, at least I consider it, I'm in a very high, and I do it to myself. So let me just put that. I am in a very high stress environment, dude.
Absolutely.
And I do it to myself. But that's the other thing that's very important to me about the classes actually, is that there have been so many times that I have came into Madabolic with just the most intense anxiety and pressure.
I know,
just
I've
of
seen
like,
it. I know.
You know what I mean? I just like, you just see me on my phone, just like dealing with a million things. And like, you know, and I have like a lot of new pressures that have been added to me in the last month that I'm still trying to navigate. But with that being said, like, you know, I just lock in for those 50 minutes. And like, there's not been a single time that even on my, like what I consider my worst workout, like where I was like tired and everything, like I still come out feeling better no matter what.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I just want to say that too, where it's like, you know, for somebody who like might be debating just working out in general, like for me personally, it's just get in.
Yeah.
You know what I
And
mean?
like everybody like should find something that like works good for them. Like working out is for everybody. Training is for everybody. Fitness is for everybody, right? Like there's no one that can't do it. It's just like there's things that there's a place that is right for someone and there are places that are wrong for people, right? And like we have people that come in and we're just not right for them, right? And that's okay. We have people that come in, we're great for them. But like it's true. Like I've seen you come in on days and just like I'd be like, hey Mike, and you just like give me like the dude, like and like I could see it, right? And it's like, all right, well, I know that there's really nothing like personally I can do to help you, but like let's go like get on the floor, like let's throw away like all of those issues and let's just like lock in and like focus on like what we can accomplish within these 50 minutes. Like if you come in all stressed out about your day, right? And like, you know, this happened here and this happened and this shit hit the fan on my projects and all this stuff. It's like, well, let's go in there and like let's make progress here. That way, at least today you've got something that like you could be proud of that you did today, right? Or
yeah,
like not have stress about.
I enjoy the process too, because you know, like for people that don't know, like it's like a rotation system, right?
Yep.
So like, you know, I'll get the first one in, I'll still be thinking about that thing. I'll get the second one, and then like by the third one, I'm like, oh no, like I kind of just got to like really dial in right here, right now, and then like by the time I'm through it all, it's like you have literally no choice but to focus on the exercise because it's like I don't want to say it can be intense. You know what I mean? I mean, you've seen some of my face, like. You know, but also you guys got tiers. You know what I mean? I always just tend to stick myself, like I always go in and I'm like, oh, I should go to the middle tier today. But I always try to go to the fourth one for me personally. Cause that's like where I know I just like, if I want an easy day, I go to 3. If I want to like really push myself a little bit, I go to 4.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like we also like came up to you, I think early on where you like, were like, it's every guy, but every guy walks in, like the ego kicks in. They're like, I'm going to go at least
tier 5
to like the second. Yeah. They're like tier 5 or tier 4, which like for people who are watching don't understand, like that we just our weight level systems, right? So like tier 1's always lightest weight on the floor, bump up a little bit, and like tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, tier 5 get a little bit heavier as you go up. And we want those people to like, as they get stronger, bump up. But like what happens like when a new person comes in is like they go somewhere they probably like aren't ready for yet.
I did it. I've seen other people come in and do it.
And it always happens. Yeah. And like we could tell them like when straight up when they walk in, like, hey, new people, like we want you to start tier 1, 2, or 3. And like you'll have a guy come in, go 4, 5. And at the end he looks like he's like ready to like drop through the ground. And it's a durability day when like he should be kind of walking out just like feeling decent. Like he shouldn't be in pain and sweating down his like bullets and like. So we've seen that happen, and it's just really funny to like be like, all right, Mike, like you came in, you started on 4. I think 3 suits you better. Let's like clean up everything we can at 3, and then like in no time, there were days where you were back at 4, and it looked completely like you look like a different person doing those movements.
Because it's easier to like learn the form on the lower weights for me personally, and I'm sure for everybody, but. Like just getting the form in, because then it gives like once you get the form a little bit better, then it's like, oh, you can do this properly, and you're not.
It's a learning process too. It's definitely the learning process. Like I want people to kind of learn as much as they progress, right? Like they're gonna get the progress they want. Like people who come in, like whether it's like lose fat, gain muscle, maintain, just be athletic, whatever it is, like they're gonna get the progress, but they're gonna learn as much as they do that as well, right? Like I told my trainers that when someone walks out of our doors, like when their time is up at Madabolic, whether it's 5 months, 5 years, whatever it is, right? Like when we've had people who have been with us since the day it opened, before even my time, 2 years when founding members, and they're still there, right? Like there's going to be a day when those people move on. Maybe they move, maybe they, whatever the reason, right? Are they going to walk out of our doors smarter and more knowledgeable in fitness than they did when they walked in? And if I can do that for 100% of the people that walk in, it's not a terrible thing for them to leave. Like, I don't want them to leave. I want them to be with us forever. But I feel safe.
Like you did your job.
I feel like I did my job, and I feel confident in that person's ability to go out and do things on their own in their own gym.
Bird leaving the nest, dude.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, and that just speaks to like the individual like attention and like care that like we have. I'm not to say me, like we have, like my staff, like Hannah, Casey, Alex getting on the floor, Kayla, all of us, like we care for these people individually, all equally, right? And like I want to see them learn and grow as much as possible with the time they have with us, whether it's short or long.
Yeah. No, and I think that's a good way to like, I think just that mentality will always lead you to success.
Yeah.
Maybe I want to talk a little bit about like the business side of this and like, like what's some business advice that you'd have for somebody who like wants to try to get into like either starting their own thing or like trying to do their own thing?
Yeah. I would say like in the fitness scene, it's probably like different than maybe like other realms of business, obviously, but like in the fitness business, in the industry, I think like learning from other people is a big one. Like not thinking that like all. Even like as a trainer, like it also, I'm sorry, like as a trainer, it also applies just as much as it does like in a business stand, but like I've got such like a good network of other owners that like I talk to so regularly about like just what they're struggling with, like what they're doing that's like making their business successful, like what they've done in the last month marketing wise to help them grow, and like always taking that feedback and like trying either to implement it or like at least consider it and like see if it would work within our within our demographic and where we are, right? And then like as a trainer too, of just like knowing that like there are things out there that I don't know. Like I hope that I know, and I know that I know enough to make someone progress and like make someone learn and teach them as much as I can. But like there are things out there that like I can learn from other trainers and other people in the fitness industry. Even Hannah, who's a physical therapist, like I've learned so much from her because like she understands the body to another level than I do, right? Like she has the credentials to understand everything from toes to nose, right? Like where, me, it's a little bit more focused on like fitness. Hers is more focused on like physical therapy and body and muscle and joints and all this. So learning from people, like it's a big one. It's a big piece of advice I can tell anybody in the fitness industry. Like there are things that you don't know out there. 100%.
Yeah. I own a Theracane because of Hannah. I just want to put that out there.
Theracane? Like a gun?
Well, I have a Theragun.
Oh, the one
cane.
that
I got the cane, yeah, too. I mean, I guess I have both, but the cane was a big one for me where it's like, because we did like on one of the Saturdays, like we did like, I don't even know what it was exactly. I'm trying to remember, but we kind of like ran through like the bags and like getting my form better, but then it was also like just seeing your body, like where you could reach to.
Got it.
And I learned that I can
little workshop.
The workshop, yeah. And I like just realized that I can't touch my back, dude. I know. Yeah, but little by one thing at a time.
And then Kayla too. Sorry, and like Kayla too. Like Kayla is an operations kind of like an operational guru. Like she works for Lululemon, and she just understands like the way things should kind of be run, like organizational skills, creativity, like all those things. Like I've learned so much from her too. Just on like, it's kind of like how to do things, right? It's not necessarily like what to do, but like how to do certain things in like an operational like structure. So she's helped me a lot with that.
What's been your biggest moment of success, so far with Mad?
I'd like to say that like I haven't hit my biggest moment yet, like I'm always striving for like the next biggest thing.
But like so far.
Yeah, that's a good one. Probably when we like doubled our membership numbers.
Oh, nice.
So like
how did you go about doing
into,
that? Yeah.
Yeah. So like what we came into versus like when we did double it, like I was so happy with our ability to gain memberships the way we did. And honestly, it was just like, we figured out what marketing worked best for us. I basically taught myself how to sell a gym membership. Like I never sold anything in my life, right? Like, when I was coaching baseball and like we always had this conversation with like the other baseball trainers and my owner, but like, and this might seem a little bit mean, so I'm sorry like if parents see this, but like, your kid comes in because they struggle, right? And they come in for, let's say 10 lessons or 20 lessons during their off season. They go through their season. And then what happens is their kid starts to suck again. So they just come back, right? And it's like they come to you, right? Like you don't need to be like, hey, you ready? Like I'm watching some stuff. Like you need to come back to me. So like for me, they kind of always came to me, and it wasn't like I had to reach out and find them. But like with us, it's different, right? Like we have to market. We have to like find the clients. The leads have to submit their information. We've got to figure out, what they're struggling with in their current routine, what their goals are, what their restrictions are, if they have any injuries, and like how we can help them. And then, try to say like, hey, here's what's going to work for you the best. Like, here's how many times a week is going to work for you the best based on your situation and your work schedule and all of those different factors that I just stated. So like I taught myself a sales process. Like I would just sit home, watch YouTube videos of just like some of the, better salesmen in the industry. And it helped me a lot. But when I got to that moment where we doubled our membership numbers, I think we did it in under like maybe around the 9 month mark. Like
nice, dude.
It just felt good. It felt great. It felt like we could legitimately like take this to, like
the next level.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's something that you learned from like some of those like marketing and like sales that like has really kept with you and has become like maybe a tool on the tool belt?
I think the biggest thing I learned is like the answer of like, I got to think about it is like used like 60% of the time. Like, I got to think about it.
You're saying from like a client or somebody. Yeah.
Like someone who like you want, like they've taken a free class or like they've done the trial and like they've like, all right, like I like it, but I want to think about it. And like what I've learned in like the marketing and like sales, like process is like, ask a question like why? Like, why do you need to think about that? Like, what other information like can I help you like understand or like can I give you to like make you like help you make a decision that works best, right? Like if someone just like comes in and they try a class, I'm like, how'd you like it? They're like, oh, I loved it. That's definitely like, this was awesome. Like it felt great. And they're like, all right, let's go over membership options, right? And they're like, okay, well, I just got to think about it. Like I'll ask why. And like some people be like, the cost. And I'm like, okay. Well, like having an honest conversation about like value versus like what do you value your health and fitness at versus like maybe other things in your life, right? And I'm not going to ever tell somebody to stop spending something to spend on another thing. Like that's not my kind of role, right? But like I can just help them kind of understand like where fitness should lie and the importance of their like everyday life, like health, where it should lie. And it should be really high up on the list.
No, it is,
like,
dude. I mean,
after taking care of your kids and like going to the bathroom, like it's like health, right? So like, and so I just like, I want people to kind of understand like that when they make these decisions on if they want to join a gym or not, right? It's like, do they have a valid reason, or are they just like a non-committal person?
Yeah.
Right.
Because a commitment could be, I mean, like with anything, it's hard for people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like, it really just depends on like, I think what people's goals are. And, you know, I think when you lock into a gym, it's like, you're typically someone who like wants to see yourself be better.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So at least that's for me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just want to see better. And like, I also understand as I get older, health is very important.
Yeah.
I think like I'm about to be 30 this year. And I think I've seen a lot of videos, but they say around age 30, you start to see the people that take care of themselves and the people that don't. You know what
like
I
the
mean?
split happens.
Yeah. And I'm like, I want to be at the side that, you know, takes care of myself.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And that's a really good point too, because like we'll work with, like, our clients can be anywhere from, you know, mothers to ex-athletes to people who have never stepped foot on an athletic field in their life. And like finding like where they fit in our gym, right? And like understanding that like they have a space here. Like they have an opportunity to like get better regardless of like where they are in their fitness level. Like people who are like ex-athletes, like they can still progress here because there's heavy enough weights. The program is built enough for them to be challenged, right? And then like the people who don't have any understanding or sense of like training whatsoever, or haven't experienced that yet, it's like you have the support enough. Like we're going to give you the support to learn how to do those things. And then the people in the middle who are like, I have an understanding. I'm not like this crazy good athlete, but like I want to be more athletic. And it's like, perfect. Like we got you. And every single person like can be helped. And I think that's a big thing. And like I said, I've tried other things. I have. Like I'm not against, I think everybody should work out, right? But like the individual attention is like it's apparent that it's not like apparent. Like it's not there. Like it's missing somewhere else.
It makes a big difference having the individual attention for me personally. Cause even before Mad, like I had a trainer, but I'd only see him like once every 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. But you just start to have like, you know, it's like almost like, you just got someone looking over you. You know what I mean? And it's like, you guys, I don't want to say like you're never breathing down my neck ever. Yeah. But like you guys do in some, even just being there, just keep me accountable.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and it's like, it's not necessarily like, you're not like hitting me every day. Just like, what's the word? Like, it's more just like, you know, I don't know. It's just like this accountability that you guys like,
I mean,
hold.
look, like I will, like if you don't show up for a month, or it probably doesn't even take a month. I mean, there's people that, you know, like it's those people who come four times a week, like consistently. And then all of a sudden, like they disappear and you know, they're not on vacation. And like, you just like hit them up and you're like, hey, like what's going on? Like you're always consistent. Like, are we good? Like, are you okay? Yeah. Like, it's not like, hey, I need you back in the gym. Like I'm missing, your spot's missing. Like, it's like, are you good? Like something happened? Are you injured? Like you're just taking a break? Like I just want, like, I want people to know, like I'm thinking about them. Like I'm making sure that they know that like they're in my mind, because the longer someone like kind of hits those walls where like they don't come in because they don't keep their consistency going, like you start to see the drop off of like, they come back and then it's like twice a week. Then they come back and it's like once a week. Then it's like once every other week. And it's like, you can kind of see like that progress fading. And I think people always worry that like, if they don't come in for a week, all their progress is gone. Like, I think it was a couple weeks ago you said to me, or last week we were talking, you were like, I've only got spotty, here.
Dude.
Yeah, you've been spotty, right?
It stresses me. I'm going to say it like, so I don't want 2 weeks. Oh, you know what? I had a moment a couple weeks ago. So I ended up only in twice that week. Yep. And then the following week it was Memorial Day. And then I didn't make it on the Thursday because I was cooked. So I like, dude, it killed me though. But I also like, I'm somebody who like, you know, I got in that following Monday and I'm like, oh, I felt me not showing up for those, you know what I mean?
And always, right, like the endurance piece of it, you're always going to feel after a couple of days. Like that part's always going to come. But like people
snap back in pretty quick.
Right,
though.
like people aren't going to, you don't lose strength in a week, you know? And like, I think that's like the biggest kind of like issue is like people think they need to work out 6-7 days a week and they need to be perfect. And then 2, like they think they need to be perfect like all the time. Like you don't. You just need to be consistent for 80% of the year, right? And if you're consistent for 80% of the year, like you're good. You're going to be great. Like I remember one day you came straight off like a flight and you came to class.
Dude, that's the day that changed my life, dude.
Dog tired. And I'm like, what are you doing here? Like why, if you are just getting off a plane and you're exhausted, like what are you doing here? You're like, dude, I just had to work out.
Dude,
and I'm like,
that ended up being the great, like that day changed my life, dude. Like I think about that day often, dude. So I was coming from a life-changing opportunity that people will know in the future.
Yep.
Went straight from airport, like literally airport to Madabolic. I walked home, which I never do. On that walk home, I filmed the Macy's video that changes everything, dude. So I was like, dude, but the point, like, I was in such high spirits from the thing that I did that I can't talk about. And then just the work, I was feeling great. And then, so like, basically what I'm saying is like, if I didn't go to Madabolic that day, like this Macy's thing would have never happened. So I credit you guys for Macy's.
Oh, well, I ain't gonna take credit for that, but I mean, but like that's what I just speak to like, the fact that like, you don't have to be perfect. Like if you had come off that plane and you were dog tired like the way you were, but you couldn't move your body, but you were like, I had to work out. Like that's not the mentality, right?
Yeah.
Like the mentality needs to be like, I want to go work out because I feel good or whatever. So when we talk to people about like, hey, like how many times a week do you work out? I work out 7. I have to. And I'm like, no, you don't have to. Like, and they hate to hear that. They hate it. They're like, what do you mean? Like, why do I not have to work out 6 days a week? I'm like, because your body's going to be broken down. Like, you're going to run yourself through the ground. Like, why don't we just be perfect for 4 days? And when I say perfect, I just mean like, why don't we show up 4 days a week, right? And take 3 days to be active and go for walks and like take the dog out and go play tennis or golf, whatever it is, and like have a rest day where like your body can just like recover so that you can have another good week like that. But what happens is people they come in 6 days a week and then they have a shitty next week because they're dog tired from the week before. And it's like, what, like I always say, like, I'll never tell someone they can't come in, right? But I'm always going to have a conversation with them after they do it like that. How do you feel? And they're gonna be like, my body's shot. And I'm like, yeah, well, no shit.
Yeah,
like,
because you're
overtraining. Like, you're killing yourself. Like, you're running yourself into the ground. Like, take those days to yourself. It's like to recover and just try to get good quality, efficient workouts in versus like the quantity of workouts. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, Seth, I'm gonna pull this to the end zone, dude.
Let's do it.
I got a couple last questions. What's some of the best advice that you've ever got?
Oh man. I'm going to have to think about this for a second.
You're good to think about it.
I've had a lot of good advice. Like, I think the number one thing actually came from one of my uncles. I was probably like 12 or 13, maybe a little bit older than that. And he was like, the number one most important thing you ever can do is to make connections with people. Like, network. Like, learn things about people. Like, make them want to tell you things that they don't tell other people. And like, be personable and make them feel comfortable with you telling those things. And you never know who you're going to run into. Like, you're never going to know who that person is that you like saw in, let's say, a Starbucks and you had a conversation with in the line. Like, you don't know. That person can be the life changer. Like, so just always, and you know, just also like my mother, like my mom is just like the kindest, like most sweetest heart human being in the world. And she does things for other people. Like, that's what she's always done. She's always been on boards and you know, presidents of this organization. And like, it didn't always benefit her. Like, it didn't always make her life better, but it always made someone else's life better. And the same thing with my father. He's just a kind human being, and he cares for people more than he really cares for himself sometimes. And I've just like, those 3 things are really big for me.
Yeah, no, I think there's a lot of good advice in there. And I think, like, you know, from the networking thing, like, it is great, dude, because the people, like, I always tell people you don't need to be the best, because a lot of people strive to be the best. And I think you should. If that's your goal, strive to be the best. You know what I mean? But like, the age-old expression, it's not, it's who you know, not like what you know.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So like, there's that. And yeah, I think also having like supportive parents and kind parents, like, I think people should always be kind. I know that's an obvious statement, but like sometimes, you know, tough things in life happen and it kind of jades people, and it's hard. Like, you know what I mean? Like, when life's swinging at you, it's hard to be a nice dude. But if you can be a nice person and a kind person always, your life and everyone's life around you is going to be better for
100%.
You know what I mean?
And we talk a lot about just like, you know, we've had moments where, you know, myself, Kayla, my other trainers, like we've had bad days. We've had struggled. We've had bad situations. We've all ran into something that has, you know, just kind of thrown us mentally off as a loop. But I think we always need to kind of remember that like what we do is for other people, and our problems don't matter to, like, not that they don't matter to them, but like our problems don't affect their day. Like it should not affect like their, you know, their situation when they come into the gym. It shouldn't affect their experience. Like we have to always remember that like, the way we lock the door at the start of class, we lock out all of our internal emotions of anything that happened outside of the gym, and we just reel it in and we become ownership of what we're doing and helping other people. You know, shit happens.
Life does happen.
Life happens.
Yeah.
Like you gotta just, for the moment of it does, like depending on what you're doing, for the moment time being, you gotta just put it to the side sometimes. Not saying it's not important to focus on like mental health and things like that, but like, well, for what we do, I think that's a struggle because we have to push things aside for the moment.
No, for the
moment.
Dude, trust me, I am I definitely put everything to the side, especially with like some of these deadlines. It's tough though, but like that's just life in general.
Yeah.
I think that applies to like not even just us. That's like everybody, you know, where it's like, you know, especially if you're like a business owner and people rely on you, it's like, you know, my grandmother passed away, you know what I mean? So it's like, that's, you know what I mean? I need to deal with that, but like, it's like, I also have a team of 30 people that are waiting on me right now to get something done. So it's like,
it's a hard part of it.
It is a very hard balance sometimes, but you know, I think it's just like life happens. It's the thing that we're getting here. You know what? I got one last question.
Sure.
If you were to be remembered for one thing, Seth, what is your message to the world?
I don't think I want to be remembered for one thing. I think I just want to be remembered as someone like who like did dedicate like their time and their energy to like helping other people. Like it brings me like legitimate joy, like legitimate feeling of like success to like watch other people like change their lives. And like in fitness, like that's the goal of fitness. It's like, it is to like progress and like develop and become like more knowledgeable and stronger and whatever it is. And like, I watch these people like that come in our gym who, you know, go from not being as strong as they can be to like being strong and like reaching their true potential. And it's like the coolest thing in the world. Like it doesn't get old. Like I've been doing it for so long now, like just from the kids I coached in college, or, you know, the youth kids I coached in Charlotte, to being a trainer at Madabolic in Charlotte, to coming here and being this owner and operator and trainer here. Like I've been doing it for so long, and like it hasn't gotten old. Like I go home with such a smile on my face when I can like know that like at least one person like progressed and like got better. And I just want to remember for someone who just like was like a selfless like human being and like cared for others so much.
Yeah,
it's a big one.
If people want to lock in with you, or like, you know, lock in with Madabolic, like plug yourself, dude. Where can people find you, dude?
All right.
How can they connect with you?
Best route is go to Instagram, because I think like Instagram, you'll learn like the most about us. Like read some of our captions, kind of like learn what we're about a little bit, watch some of the video.
And what's your at?
At Mad Stamford.
There you go.
Yep, at Mad Stamford. MAD Stamford. Yep. Yep, right here.
Oh, there we go.
And then like, you know, whatever, give us a call, but just be ready to like tell us like about yourself. Like tell us what you struggle with. Tell us where you want to be. Like we're going to want to learn about you to be able to help you. So that's how they can lock in with us.
Yeah. And if, you want to train alongside this bad boy, you know, you can figure out when I'm in there, and just don't bother me, but I'm happy to, you know, stand next to you as I lift some weights.
Yeah, and I'll be happy to watch.
Yes.
Yeah.
Before we get out of here, I did say last question was the last question, but like, what are you doing for your birthday, dude? Let's see. Well, I worked out this morning. Always started off with a bang. Got to coach. Got to work out in the second class. So that's good. I'm here, which is great. Get a little like quiet in the studio. It's nice to have like some quietness for a little while. Yeah.
And then just hang out with some friends tonight. Do a little party at the house. My other buddy's birthday was on Thursday, so we did a little joint thing.
Beautiful thing.
Met some of our good friends. Just hang out with some cool people. That's it.
Well, nice. Well, happy birthday again,
Thanks,
Seth.
bro.
Thanks for
Appreciate
coming
you.
on the podcast.
Absolutely.
And
it was a good time.
Good
Loved
time,
it.
dude.
Yeah.